The night I lost everything started like any other. My bedroom was dim, the scent of Chase's cologne thick in the air, his fingers tangled in my hair as our bodies moved together in reckless harmony. I was not thinking of consequences. I was not thinking of my husband. I was thinking only of the high, the thrill, and the hunger I had starved for so long. But then, the door creaked open. The shadows shifted. And there he was, my husband, standing frozen at the edge of our bed, eyes hollow, soul shattered. That moment still haunts me. That was the night everything fell apart. To my subscribers, thank you for always standing by this channel. To all new and returning viewers who have not subscribed, I truly appreciate you for being here. I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button because it is the fuel that powers this channel and keeps stories like this alive. Do not forget to like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments immediately after this episode. I am excited to read them. Now, let me take you deep into the story of how I destroyed the life I thought was perfect. My name is Jenna Brooks. I am 41 years old, a wife, and a mother of 2. I live in a quiet suburb in North Carolina, green lawns, golden retrievers, polite neighbors who wave every morning. To the outside world, I had the perfect life. My husband, Michael, is a civil engineer, the kind of man who never forgets to bring flowers on anniversaries. A good man. Too good, maybe. And that, perhaps, was the beginning of the problem. Next door lived Chase, 35, divorced, ruggedly handsome, and dangerously charming. The type of man who could make you forget you are wearing a wedding ring. He was often shirtless when mowing his lawn, sweat dripping off his shoulders like something out of a steamy novel. I tried not to notice at first. But eventually, I did. And I noticed more than I should have. Michael and I had grown apart. We no longer touched. We no longer laughed. Our conversations were about bills and groceries. He worked late. I stayed home. I was lonely. And loneliness has a voice. It whispers, tempts, and seduces until you forget who you used to be. It began with innocent smiles over the fence. Then came the long talks on my porch, wine glasses in hand, the kids asleep. He listened to me in ways Michael had stopped doing. One night, I let him hold my hand. It was just a hand. That is what I told myself. But a week later, his lips were on mine. Then, he was in my bed. And that was how it began. For weeks, we hid behind drawn curtains and lies. I told Michael I had joined a book club. I told myself it was just physical. But deep down, I knew I was chasing something dangerous. Every kiss from Chase was a rebellion, every touch a betrayal. Yet I could not stop. Then came the night. The night that would end everything. Michael had told me he would be at a site inspection late into the evening. I made dinner for the kids, tucked them in, and texted Chase. Now. He arrived within minutes, smelling like spice and smoke. We barely made it up the stairs before tearing into each other. It was not about love. It was about lust, escape, adrenaline. We were so lost in it that we never heard the front door open. I remember the sound of the doorknob turning. A cold wind rushing into the room. I lifted my head, and there he was. Michael. Standing still. His hands were clenched into fists. His face had gone pale, his jaw trembling. He did not shout. He did not move. He just stared, like someone watching a nightmare unfold in slow motion. My heart dropped. My breath caught in my throat. Chase rolled off me, scrambling for his pants. But Michael did not look at him. He looked at me. And in his eyes, I saw something break. He turned and walked away without saying a word. No screams. No insults. Just silence. That was somehow worse. I ran after him, half wrapped in a blanket, crying out his name. But he kept walking, out the front door, into the night. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood on the porch, naked in shame, the cold biting at my skin. I wanted to scream. I wanted to take it all back. But it was too late. Behind me, Chase whispered, "Maybe he will forgive you." But in that moment, I realized I had not only betrayed my husband, I had betrayed myself. That night, I sat alone on the living room floor, waiting for Michael to return. He never did. The night Michael walked out of the house, I thought he needed time. I thought he would come back, and maybe we could talk, cry, scream, anything. But morning came. Then the afternoon. Then night again. Still no call. No message. No sign of him. The silence was louder than anything I had ever known. I sat in the kitchen that day, staring at the cup of coffee I had made for him. It sat there untouched, growing cold like the marriage we once had. The children asked where their father had gone. I told them he had to travel for work. I lied, again. And with every lie, I felt my chest cave in a little more. I could not look at myself in the mirror. When I did, all I saw was a woman I no longer recognized. A woman who had shattered something sacred, not because she wanted to, but because she was starving, for affection, for validation, for warmth that once used to come so easily from the man she married. Michael and I had been married for 15 years. I still remembered the way he used to look at me on Sunday mornings, his eyes filled with love even before I opened mine. He would kiss my forehead and whisper that I was his piece. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being that. He did not block my number. That was almost worse. It meant he wanted me to know he was ignoring me. I sent a message, "I am sorry. Please talk to me." No reply. I sent another. Then another. Then I stopped. 3 days later, I found a note on the kitchen counter. He must have come in while I was asleep. It was only a few lines, written in his tight, clean handwriting. "You made a choice. Now I will make mine. Do not contact me until I am ready to speak. If ever." I read that line over and over, each word slicing deeper than the last. If ever. That was when it hit me, he might be gone for good. Chase tried to reach out. He called. He texted. He came by once, standing at the front door like some forbidden memory. I told him to go. I told him I never wanted to see him again. Because in truth, I did not love him. I never did. What I felt was a dangerous mix of lust and loneliness, nothing more. And now, it had cost me everything. I stopped going outside for a while. I knew the neighbors had heard something. People always do. The way Mrs. Lattimore from across the street looked at me, sharp eyes, pressed lips, told me enough. Whispers began to follow me like shadows. I could feel them in the grocery store, the school parking lot, even during church service. I became the woman who slept with the neighbor. The one who destroyed her family. A week passed. Then 2. Michael had still not returned. The kids stopped asking. That scared me more than anything. Children forget quickly when pain becomes routine. Then, one afternoon, I opened the mailbox and found a large brown envelope. Inside was a document. Divorce papers. No note. No explanation. Just pages and pages of legal language that tore through me like fire. I held the papers in my hands and sat on the floor, unable to cry. My eyes had gone dry from the endless nights of weeping. My hands trembled as I flipped through the pages. He wanted full custody of the kids. He wanted the house sold. He wanted separation from everything that had ever connected us. But something in me refused to sign. Not yet. I needed to see him. I needed to speak with him face to face. So I went to his office. I wore the blue dress he used to love, brushed my hair the way he liked it, and walked into the building with a heart pounding like war drums. When I reached his floor, the receptionist froze. Her eyes widened slightly before she recovered. "I am sorry," she said, "Mr. Brooks is not seeing anyone without an appointment." "Tell him it is Jenna," I said, forcing a smile I did not feel. She hesitated. Then she picked up the phone and whispered something. A pause. Then she shook her head. He said no. I stood there, stunned. That was when I realized he had truly shut the door on me. I walked out of the building, the wind sharp against my skin. I did not cry. Not then. The tears would come later, alone in my car, where I screamed so loud my throat bled. I began to spiral. I stopped eating. I stopped answering calls. My world shrank into the walls of my bedroom, where his scent still lingered on the pillows. Then came the final blow. Chase. That bastard. One evening, I received a message from an unknown number. It contained a video. My hand shook as I opened it. There we were, Chase and I, in my bed, in my home. The angles, the sound, the clarity. He had recorded everything. Without my knowledge. Without my consent. My stomach churned. I rushed to the bathroom and vomited. It felt like poison was eating me alive from the inside. I messaged him, furious, broken, terrified. He replied with 2 words, I warned you. Then, nothing. I sat on my bathroom floor, shaking, trying to make sense of the madness. What had I done? How had I let it get this far? I had lost my husband. I had lost my dignity. And now, I was being blackmailed by the very man I had betrayed it all for. The worst part? The night he caught us. Michael had not been coming home early to surprise me. He had been bringing flowers. He had been trying to fix us. And I had broken us beyond repair. It had been 3 months since everything fell apart. The house felt emptier than I ever imagined it could. Not just in the physical sense, but emotionally. The laughter that once filled the halls had been replaced with haunting silence. The family portraits on the walls had become relics of a life I no longer deserved. Each day, I woke up feeling like a ghost inside my own home. The kids were gone. Michael had followed through on his demand for custody, and after weeks of court appearances and lawyers, the judge sided with him. I could not even blame her. I had destroyed the very foundation my children had depended on. Michael had come prepared, composed, and truthful. I, on the other hand, had come as a woman with a stain too deep to scrub away. The worst moment of my life was watching my daughter, Ella, reach for her father's hand in the courtroom without even glancing at me. My own daughter, my heartbeat, looked at me like I was a stranger. I remembered when she used to sneak into my bed in the middle of the night, curling into me like I was her safe space. That night in court, she refused even a hug. It was the kind of rejection that did not just hurt, it broke something in me that might never heal. Michael had turned cold. Not cruel, not vengeful. Just cold. That was more painful than rage. At least rage would have meant he still felt something for me. But his silence? His stillness? That was the sign of someone who had completely let go. He had moved into a quiet neighborhood across town with the children. I knew because I drove past once. Just once. I parked a block away and watched from a distance as they played in the front yard. Michael pushed Jonah on the swing while Ella laughed with a neighbor's daughter. They looked happy. Like I had never even existed. I sat in the car, hidden by tinted windows, with tears streaming down my cheeks. I could not go closer. I had lost that right. Chase had vanished. After he sent that sickening video, he went completely off the grid. His house was sold. His number disconnected. It was like he had disappeared into thin air. I sometimes wondered if he had planned this all along, if I was just another notch in his belt, another game for a man who thrived on destruction. I never told Michael about the video. There was no point. The damage had already been done. There were nights I considered ending everything. Not out of cowardice, but out of the unbearable weight of regret. I would sit on the edge of my bed and stare at the pills in my drawer, wondering if the world might be better without the woman who had shattered so many lives. But every time, something stopped me, maybe it was the thought of Ella and Jonah, or maybe it was the faintest flicker of hope that one day, I could make amends. I started going to therapy. At first, it felt like punishment. Sitting in a sterile room, peeling back layers of shame in front of a stranger. But slowly, something began to shift. My therapist, Dr. Ryan, never judged me. He listened. He asked the right questions. He made me confront the ugly parts of myself I had spent years ignoring. Why did I cheat? It was not because Michael was cruel. It was not because I did not love him. It was because somewhere along the way, I stopped loving myself. I let emptiness fill me, and instead of asking for help, I reached for destruction. I let lust feel like love. I let attention replace affection. I wrote letters to Michael, dozens of them. I never sent them. They sat in a box under my bed. Maybe one day I would give them to him. Maybe not. But I needed him to know that I was not blaming him. That I took full responsibility for what I had done. That I had loved him, truly, deeply, and that I still did. Then came the twist I never saw coming. It was a Monday morning. I was preparing to attend a support group my therapist had suggested when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it, and there he was, Michael. Standing on my porch in a gray sweater, eyes tired, but soft. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. I need to talk, he said quietly. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where the affair had begun to unravel. He looked around like the house was foreign to him now. Maybe it was. I came because I wanted to see if you are still alive, he said. Not just breathing. But living. I nodded slowly, unable to speak. He looked at me for a long moment, then said something I never expected to hear. I still do not forgive you. And I may never be able to. But I realized something. If I hold on to this anger forever, it is going to destroy me. And I have the kids to think about. So this is me, trying to move on. Trying to let go. Tears welled up in my eyes. Not because he forgave me, but because he was choosing peace over vengeance. That was the man I married. The man I betrayed. I want you to be okay, he continued. Not for us. Not for the past. But for yourself. Get help. Get better. And maybe, someday, the kids can know the woman you are becoming, not the one you were. And just like that, he stood, placed a photo of the children on the table, and walked out. He did not say goodbye. But he gave me something I never thought I would get again. A second chance. Not to have him back. Not to fix what was broken. But to rebuild myself, piece by painful piece. So here I am now, still learning. Still healing. Still living with the consequences of one reckless decision. Infidelity is not just about sex. It is about pain. It is about emptiness. It is about forgetting the value of what you have while chasing shadows. If my story reaches just one woman out there who is on the edge, thinking about crossing that line, please do not. Talk to your partner. Speak your truth. Ask for help. Do anything but step into that fire. Because once you do, everything burns. Thanks for staying with me till the end. Don't just listen alone, share this story to others too, and don't fail to hit that subscribe button for more true life stories.